Your main man back in the 17, sucker. Now I got a video request here. I think 3D sent me this video request, but I'm not 100% sure. So let me talk about this right here. It went as follows. And you can always send me video requests. You go on to Facebook, or if you want to jump over on the Raw Immersive Games Forum on Facebook, you check out everything that's coming out from my company. Get those Within the Ring of Fire books. Bam. Go to Drive Through RPG. You can pick those up. Or you can hit me up on Facebook. Get the $70 PDF bundle. Get you every PDF ever put out for Within the Ring of Fire. Only 75 bucks. And there's 5 books out right now, and there are more coming. Believe that. And he writes, Anderwood, I've noticed that some of your online campaigns, and I do so hate that word campaign, baby, you need to be talking about sagas. These are wonderful tales of epic renown, myth and yore, and fable, if you understand. These are not military endeavors. But anyway, Anderwood, I've noticed that some of your online campaigns are quite lengthy. Can you do a video describing how to plan the length of a campaign and why to choose certain lengths for certain styles and stories? My first campaign ran for 2 years and we only completed half the story. Oh, fuck. But my plan had been for it to complete the whole story in 1 year. Long-term campaign pacing was the issue. Now, that could certainly be an issue, long-term campaign. Why are these things an issue? Let's examine. You got playable pieces in play. Players. And when you're going to run for, let's say, a story of 2 years, and you want to run every Friday night, and you want to run for 6.5 hours a Friday night, that's going to be your typical length, vary a little shorter, a little longer sometimes, let's say plus minus an hour and a half. And that's going to be including your pizza time, your Chinese food time, your sushi time, your hamburger time, whatever time you have for that meal, if you feel. Taking all that together, that is going to constitute the entire time that the game runs, the runtime of your game. Now, you certainly are going to need to do planning beforehand. You need to lay out arcs and story structure to your game, but different from a novel. You don't want to make these things so intrinsically entwined that they must be done, because then you fall into a very bad game master trope that I have identified, described, and pioneered here on this experience for your mind. So you don't want to be the frustrated writer. You want to be uh, easily elastic. You want to be like water, moving, changing, flowing, or going over here and going over here. This is something I happen to be really, really good at when I'm running. You lose a player. You have an intricate piece to the game. You have that person start here in the beginning, and then you have middle pieces, end pieces, all sorts of little pieces where you're interacting with them from all sorts of different angles. And much of that is going to be based on the combustion of this and that happening. What you want to do for a campaign is have maybe 3 or 4 really strong overarching storylines that are good, that are going to involve the players more than likely, but you don't want to ram any of this stuff down their face. Then you want to create embers along the way to allow you to have interaction and allow organic storytelling to take place. And when you have that improv free role playing, it's wonderful because the players will be able to tell that's organic. You have them meet X, Y, or Z Ember and they interact in a certain way. Just the way they've designed their characters, use the character design. Never be afraid to reward or punish characters for the character that they actually picked. They'll like that. You are honoring the choices that they've made. Honor the choices that your players make, and then their choices will feel relevant. They won't feel like, well, it doesn't matter. I don't need that skill or that ability, or I could do whatever I want because it's not going to come back to bite me in the ass. And when their choices do, when their consequences, whether they're good or bad, it validates the choice they initially made. And the choices they initially make tell you what sort of game they want to play. So you want to let them have impact upon that. And that's so important when you're sitting down and making your saga planning. Leave lots of room to have flexibility to have it fleshed out by the players, by what they're telling you. Anticipate one or more of your players might be gone before 2 years. Anticipate new players might come in. One of your old buddies might say, hey, man, I haven't played Dungeons and Dragons. I haven't played Rifts. I haven't played Cyberpunk, excuse me. I haven't played Cthulhu. I haven't played, Cthulhu ain't going to go for 2 years. But I haven't played Star Wars. I haven't played Within the Ring of Fire in far too long. I want to get back in it. You're at the 6-month mark. boom, you bring him in. Maybe you bring him in as a new character. Maybe you bring him in as a classic character that they've brought much joy to the world with before. So that's really a wonderful thing to do in your game to be able to weave in and out. So what's the real crux of the issue there is how much weight of the story to place on the characters. You want to play some, you don't want to play so much on top of a character that it collapses out if they're out of the game, because that can always happen. Loads of things can happen to bring people out of your game. A new boyfriend, girlfriend, a divorce, being moved, particularly if they're in the military. Lots of military people play. If they're being moved, if they're an erratic, if they have an erratic relationship, lifestyle, if they have kids, whatever it is, try to build the things that you really want to have the player that's going to be there the whole time on a character, a player that you think most likely would be there the whole time. If you think someone's not going to be reliable, don't put strong emphasis on making them a pillar of your game, because that could collapse on you. It cause you so much damage that you can't run the game anymore. It's basically gone because their character is gone. Be very careful too if you have any kind of couples in your games. If you have a married couple, a boyfriend, girlfriend, because two things can happen there that are bad. You can upset one of them and then both of them leave. Or they could split up and then you might get stuck with one you don't want, or they might both stop coming. So, or they might both stay there, and God, that could be a problem. I've seen all those scenarios happen in my many years in this great hobby we call RPG. So, take caution when you deal with that. Okay, so you want to sit down and build out a lot of stuff, build lots of embers, try to figure out how you can insert the initial encounters with the players you've had. The very first thing I would say about building your stories is have the players make the characters first. I have people generally make a character 6 months before we're going to play, so I have plenty of time to put it in a stew pot of imagination, baby, and allow it to simmer, to percolate, if you understand. And then, and only then, when we're going to get involved in that situation, do we bring in the spice of all these embers, all these interactions, these touchstone points for the imagination, my embers, my creations to interact with those of the players around the table, their characters. And then you have those various explosions, and you might be able to anticipate how things will go, and you might be wildly wrong. All depending. There might be certain things you want to work in. You might have a special magic item, or a if it's like a military game, they might find like certain general's orders, or something like that. A note that indicates a double cross, or they overhear something in private chambers, whatever. So you have those sort of seeds established. A ghost comes to them. All these sorts of things. Of the mythic, of the magical, of even the mundane. There's so many ways to introduce these special seeds, and you can control that, but you don't want to make those scenes seem contrived, like in a role playing module. So often that comes off. It's like, well, we could have just come here 10 years from now, and this scene would just hit and queue up the second we walk through this door. It has nothing to do with the temporal line, and you never want your characters to feel that. You want to just blur that to the point it's not there. Um, and again, you want to make them feel like their choices have been valid. If you've never run a game that's gone that long, try to shoot for a smaller version, right? Don't try to write a trilogy. Try to write a book. Try to write a novel, okay? And give them uh, 1 act, 2 acts, 3 acts, whatever you think you can get in there, and then build a story structure inside that time to allow them to do stuff. So look and say, okay, look, I'm going to run this game for 3 months. Now you put low expectations on the players in terms of their commitment they're going to have to make to the game. Once the 3 months has come, it's so much easier to go, once it's been a smashing success with a good conclusion, to have them go, wow, we're going to bring it up again. And even there, you could drop another game in between and then come back to that one who's had a satisfactory conclusion for an actual part two. You build a first movie, you build a first season of a show, and then you can bring it back. You have that real wrap up, real conclusion, but only use that to springboard. So that's what I would suggest if you've never actually run a full length saga, a full length campaign, a full length story. Don't shoot for it to be huge. Don't lay out 2 years of stuff, because particularly if you don't know the group, you don't know the people, the personalities involved, that could be a very bad idea because it may just you may become very exhausted. You may not like the player style. You may not like the characters. There may be all kinds of clashes you're not expecting. So try to make something small. Shoot for something that's 3 months. Shoot for 10 to 15 sessions. Right. You can get a nice bit done there, and shoot for a definitive conclusion that has enough open-endedness to be expanded and expounded upon. You understand with being able to go further. You could certainly run games that go for years. I've played in games that have gone for years, and it's been wonderful to see the development, the story arc, the dynamic changes, and another important thing to concentrate on that so many people often forget is the amount of time that passes inside the game. Not the real world time, but the in-game time. I played a game one time. I went up to like 21st level, right? I'm a teenager, and I think just a little over a year to actually passing game time from first to 21st level. That's ridiculous. Inside of a year, 2 years, something like that. So you need to pace these things out. You can watch Underground on my buddy Lou's channel. Some great Within the Ring of Fire action. Your main man's playing in it. We got Fazib Gazella. We got Onion Kid. We got the action. You understand? There's almost 50 sessions. I think our next one will be 48. But depending on what you watch, that might not be that relevant. Check him out, and you could really see the story structure there. You could see, all these sessions of a nice long saga at soon to be 48 sessions, and I know we're not done yet. So that, I mean, there could be 60, 70, who knows how many sessions by the time that actually concludes, which gives so much room for growth. You've seen so much dynamic aspect. You've seen the same three people play different catalysts at the same time to spark those fires of imagination, which really propels the story forward in interesting and different ways to help keep the stagnation off. And you really, particularly if you have stagnant players, if you have players that kind of reserve, roll back, they want to roll the dice, they don't want to interface that much, you can create a lot of issues there because that, quite frankly, not be that fun to play with. A player's in your face, go, 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 wants to do this and that and this, and it has overwhelming ideas and descriptive aspect to them. It's going to be fun to play. They're going to vibe with you. They're going to feed off you. And they're going to help prevent that game master fatigue because you're like, God, I got to get back out there. That man, he hit the scoop slam last week and dropped the elbow for the one, for the two, and for the three, and that can be very entertaining. Combat that runs that way, scenes that have that description, whether they be a high action chase sort of scene or something like creating a piece of art or working to forge, what have you. When you can really bring that vivid description, it could really help to propel a game further. So, in summation, make the game small, but not too small. Don't run one session or 3 sessions. Shoot for about 10 to 15 sessions worth of a situation. Create a definitive end to the situation. Try to create realistic expectations for the players you have. Really look at the characters they have. Create embers. Give them lots of time to role play. And if they exceed the time scope on what you're doing, what you've planned out, well, I mean, that's easy enough. Then that 3 months, maybe went to 4 months without having to have planned anything else. But plan overarching stories, plan some aspects that are going to give dynamic change to embers, to the world, to a town, to a plot line, and allow your characters to express it. Allow them to organically influence a story and let it go anyway. Try not to moral stamp stories because they get so tiresome. Like, oh, well, the mayor's daughter, and now you have to go save her. It's like, well, that's not my character would do. My character doesn't care about that. I want to do this. No, 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 no. You go down the well and fight the fucking kobolds. It's like, oh, dude, did you not even read my sheet? I don't care anything at all about that. No, no, he wants you to. But no, I don't want to do that. So pay attention to what they're telling you they want to do. Look at their character sheets. Listen to them when they're explaining their backstories, when they're explaining their personalities, and use those to create situations to mirror certain aspects of their personality and to show sharp contrasts to others. You can really get a lot of them. Leave the players really chomping at the bit for more. Then you leave them off for a few weeks. Maybe you do something else. Maybe let one of the other people run. A short interlude, maybe a 3-session Cthulhu or something like that, and then you can get right back to it once they're clamoring for it. If you're a game master, man, make them clamor, make them delight, make them desire those flames of passion, that excellent experience and expedition into the RPG realms of the mind itself. Here's your main man. Answer the question. Hit me up with other questions you guys want. I'm going to be trying to get more videos out in 2017 than I did in 2016. Here's number one. Woo, my God. And everybody out there, Barbarian Horde, much love. Great New Year to you. And we'll be talking to you real soon, baby.